Welcome to Green and Red, Scrappy Politics for Scrappy People, a regular podcast on radical, environmental and anti-capitalist politics, brought to you by Bob Bazanko and Scott Parkin.
We put you up on the shelf, so just stay there. You will keep your head down, you will watch us destroy your town. Yes! So you will obey, obey. You chose us, so you will obey. We own everything. You will watch and enjoy the greatest power in Leroy. You chose us, so you will obey, obey.
Was all men, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women, but this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough, and I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. Go back to Roddy.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dog gothic MAGA. All projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of the Power Alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite. You have given us entree to the resources we need in our ongoing quest for multi-dimensional.
Welcome to the silky smooth sounds of the Green and Red podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Parkin, in Berkeley, California. And as always, I'm joined by
Bob Bazanko in the Lone Star State.
the Lone Star State. Hey, folks, you just watched a video from a new street theater group, which is actually really an old street theater group called Bad Taste for a Good Cause. And we are on air with our old friend and comrade, Jeff Grubler, who it's his street theater group. He is the architect. He's the brains behind the operation of Clever
That's
Street
going
Theater.
a little too far there.
Clever Street Theater for a long time. And so we want to welcome Jeff back to the Green and Red podcast.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you, Bob and Scott, for having me.
And Jeff, and just folks, Jeff is a longtime human rights and anti-war activist whose weapon of choice is street theater. His most recent street theater group is Bad Taste for a Good Cause and can be found at badtastegoodcause.com. But Jeff has been in groups such as the Reagan Home for the Criminally Insane and the Trump Disorganization, and now has this new street theater shtick. And actually, we had Jeff on last year promoting his product, Gaza Springs, which was a tongue-in-cheek response to the genocide in Gaza. But Jeff, you have a new video out, which the folks here just watched, which is based on the sci-fi classic, the John Carpenter classic, They Live. But can you actually just tell us a little bit about what we just watched?
Yeah, it's crazy. If you rewatch, which I recommend for everybody to do, if you haven't watched it in a long time or you've never seen it, the movie They Live by John Carpenter, there's actually the banquet scene in the movie where an alien predicts that he's giving a speech and says, by the year 2025, we will have dominion not only of America, but of the entire planet. And he talks about the alliance between the human powered elite and the alien colonists. And so I'm not saying for sure that we are being manipulated by aliens who have induced us into a sleep-like state in order to strip mine our planets, who may or may not be colluding with the billionaire oligarchs, the human powered elite. But it seemed like a good way to go. The movie is just so on. In the movie, you have Roddy, the wrestler, Roddy Piper,
Roddy Piper.
who he plays a homeless construction worker or a construction worker staying at a homeless encampment by a church. And he finds a pair of sunglasses, that when he puts them on, everything changes. Sees signs differently, sees magazines, sees money, and of course, sees aliens among us. And in that movie, it shows the huge disparity between the rich and the poor. And this was in 1988. I remember the homeless problem in New York in 1988, but I don't remember huge homeless encampments that we have today. So it was a very forward-thinking movie. And my idea was, with a lot of the street theater, is to try to find the weakness of the regime or of the corporation, of the politicians. And I do believe this, because Trump campaigned as this working class populist, which for people watching this podcast, we all know that it's BS. However, many of us, of our fellow Americans, bought it, that he was this working class guy, or he's fighting for the working class. And his alliance, having the billionaires, all these billionaires bending the knee, or really bending both knees to suck up to him, I think that's a weak point and something that we need to exploit.
This is all done in fun, although it's a very serious topic. But I have a serious question. What got you interested in a street theater? I teach classes and I talk about red puppets and teatro campesino and things like that. It's really cool. Why do you do that?
Well,
what particular function do you think that serves?
So right now in particular, but really throughout my teenage through adult life that I've been doing this, it helps with my mental health. And I think that's a point, and it doesn't have to be street theater. It's being active and it's doing something, and laughter really helps. But just being active, because in these times, so many of my friends and comrades are laying low, at least right now. They're just overwhelmed. And then they also think, oh, so many people, maybe the majority of Americans voted for Trump. So they are going to they're tuning out or incredibly despondent. And I think I would be despondent if I wasn't active. And I started the first sort of street theater I started was in 1985. I had just graduated high school. I met a bunch of people other kids and people from, I won't get into it, but it was mostly young people who started a group called the World War III Veterans. And we put on makeup or masks, gas masks, stuff like that, and pretended as if we were the survivors of a nuclear war. And we did die-ins and things like that. And it was fun. It made protesting fun. And I took from that and continued to try to make it fun, and also to use it to break through media blackouts. During the after the Iraq War, not the Gulf War, when the US imposed sanctions on Iraq, which was a blockade, there was no media coverage of what was happening to the Iraqi people. And you had the World Health Organization come out and UNICEF came out. UNICEF came out and said that 500,000 children under the age of 5 had died as a direct result from the sanctions because we bombed everything. We destroyed their infrastructure and then stopped them from getting in the materials they need to rebuild it, as well as food, water, and medicine. And our media, because the Democrats were in control at that point, it was, again, the war was under Bush 1, but Bill Clinton. And so there was nothing from the liberal media. And that's when I started to market sludge, which was Iraqi contaminated drinking water, make cereal boxes for smart bombs, cereal, kid tested, Pentagon approved, and started to do weird street theater on the street. Just started to do weird things. And I'm still doing it. I'm still, some of it is recycling old gags, some of it's new, and a lot of it is just, and my model of doing things is to recruit my friends. That's who does this stuff with me. And some of them are incredibly talented, way more talented than I am. Some of them are just folks doing things that don't require a whole lot of theatrical or artistic experience. This is not like highbrow theater. Anybody can do it. And that's a good thing.
Do you think, because you've done a lot of, let's call it traditional activism too, more adversarial stuff, do you get a different response from people when you do theater? Because I know one of the most fun things I ever did was Billionaires for Bush. I got dressed up and that was fun.
And that was incredibly effective, the Billionaires for Bush, because you got to choose your own character. You made who your billionaire name was. You put together your costume. They had the framework and people could participate in it, and it had a very clear message. So that was beautiful. That was a great.
And I think people responded differently. Like people who normally wouldn't go by honking the horn, they're waving, they're giving you a thumbs up.
Yeah. And then on that, because you are not going after that in particular. And I think that the last skit, the skit that you showed where Make America Great Again turned into Make Billionaires Even Richer, or America First turns into Billionaires First. We're tapping into the class war. We're tapping into the people in our country, our working class people are being told, and not just white working class people, but people here who, Black, Latino, Asian, everybody, that your enemies are immigrants, that trans people are trying to steal your bathrooms, whatever. And they're the ones that you can blame for everything. DEI is responsible for the plane crash and all that. So this recenters it. And people actually respond well to that. They're like, oh yeah, no, I hate them. I hate those billionaires. And
Luigi showed that, right?
Luigi showed that. But, and also, and to your point of the response, yes. When during the Bush Jr. years, we were at his second inauguration, first inauguration. I don't remember which. No, it had to be the second inauguration. And I had a bunch of folks from Cleveland who joined me. So I put out a call. I want to do street theater. I couldn't get anybody to go with me from San Francisco. So I had these folks from Cleveland join me. And we did the Abu Ghraib fraternity party, where we dressed up as members of the administration and Rush Limbaugh, who was the one who called it like a frat prank, and had the prisoner wearing the shroud with the arms stuck out. And I made shirts that looked like college shirts, but they said torture you, and Abu Ghraib fraternity party sign, and played music from Animal House. And the crazy thing was that the Republican delegates, they were laughing. They were taking photos. We didn't get, like, nobody was like, F you on that. And also the issue, because I was even, well, I think it was the LA Times and other conservative newspapers were, yeah, my group was a Ronald Reagan Home for the Criminally Insane. So they think I'm just going to be like a wingnut and a nut job. And then I was like, and then when I just said that even if you were in support of this war, which you shouldn't be, do you really think torturing these people and it being go from the top is what it's going to make, is going to do America any favors? This is just going to start more terrorism. And it's getting them on things that they really can't dispute. Now, today we live in a fact-free world and it's all vibes and feelings, but I do still think choosing the issues, exploiting their weaknesses is the way to go.
One question I have is, in the first Trump term, he's definitely the butt of late night host jokes. And we interviewed someone a while back an academic who wrote a book called Trump is a Joke. But this time around seems less of a joke. We recently did an interview with Will Potter saying that he used to be the joke and now he's the status quo. And I'm wondering what you see the role of street theater like as where Trump is like no longer an aberration. It seems less absurd, even though what they're doing is beyond absurd. And I'm wondering how you see the role of theater and humor and things like that in this moment. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention is when Tim Walz was first on the ticket back in August, he got on partially because he was just describing the Republicans as weird and funny, but laugh at them, but don't be alarmed, that sort of thing. And I'm wondering how you see the role of street theater and humor now, as we're in a much more serious moment where Trump is much more the status quo.
I did think that Tim Walz weird, I don't know to call it an attack, but just describing them as being weird was incredibly effective. That he was not the problem. They should have had more Tim Walz and should have let him loose on it instead of Liz Cheney, Mark Cuban, and
Well,
all.
look at how Trump freaked out, like when Obama made fun of his size and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So it really, that would have been more effective. And they didn't go with it. They really, because the Democrats, the Harris campaign, it was fundamentally an issue-free campaign. It was celebrity issue-free. The only thing that maybe Harris was good on in terms of stating was abortion rights. And even there, she really didn't go for it with that. It was basically issue-free. And I don't know, on the one hand, to really get into your question, I do think it is effective what late night comedians are doing and talk show hosts are doing. And it's helping people stay sane. It's helping them get the news and letting them know that they are not crazy, that this is not normal. How much of an effect? I think it does have an effect. And I think that there's probably going to be an attempt to rein them in, either through lawsuits, by going after the corporations, by using the apparatus of the government to say you got to censor them, or self-censorship. So there will be that. Now, or I hope there will be, but I think there will be. And then in terms of street theater, it's me and whatever friend I can get out on the street that particular day to help me do it. And I'm not particularly social media savvy. I've got my own TikTok account, My videos are getting some views, which is great. But just being out on the street and human eyes seeing us, and then it being amplified by other people taking videos and posting it. And I don't even know from there how, because we don't own or control any of those platforms. Who knows? Other people a lot smarter than me are going to have to, hopefully, we'll hear from them and there'll be people doing creative things that way. But I think that we cannot let Trump's behavior being normalized, that we do have to continue to show how crazy and dangerous it is. And I don't think people understand that. I think that there's different types of Trump supporters. There are the people who are really far gone, QAnon, who think that all sorts of, you don't even know like how crazy the things are that they believe. That I was having somebody telling me that the person who is Trump is an actor playing Trump, and the person playing Biden is an actor playing Biden, and Biden died a long time ago, not just mentally, but he's actually dead, or that there's robots playing them. Like there's a large percentage of people who are not reality based, who are like the mentally ill. People with psychosis or prone to psychosis are drawn to Trump. So you have,
Because himself may be affected by that as well.
yeah, so you have those people, and you have diehard people who we're not going to convince of anything. They are in a cult. It doesn't matter what Trump says. It doesn't matter if we point out the discrepancies, because they're going based on a feeling. They're going based on their love and adoration and belief in their cult leader. However, most people who voted for Trump, that's not why they voted for him. They don't have a lot of information. Trump wants to blow up the system. The system's not working for them. I can't tell you how many people said to me when I wear my Free Palestine button, Trump is going to fix that. Trump is going to end the war. I had people who I am 98% sure are undocumented immigrants tell me that, who are like praising Donald Trump and thinking that Trump is only going to go after the immigrants who've committed crimes. I have just people who they bought what Trump was selling, but they are not solidly in that camp. It's just the Democrats sucked so much. They sucked on messaging because they couldn't go after the billionaires. Because the billionaires, they want the money, and they were getting billions and billions from them as well. And they couldn't attack the system, which they've been part of the problem. They are the reason why we have Trump and why we have this Trump cult. But I think that what in the last week, in my conversations with people who voted for Trump are also now telling me they're worried about their benefits. They're worried about their VA benefits. They're worried about their Social Security benefits. They are worried about Trump going to war with Canada and New Zealand and Mexico and Panama. And they're like, this guy is crazy. And these people voted for Trump. And I'm not going to, in the capacity in which I'm talking with them, I don't talk politics. They tell me stuff, and I can't talk politics with them. But even if I could, I would not lambast them for voting for Trump. I think we show them the alternative, which the Democrats have not.
Just a thought. Have you ever gotten feedback from somebody higher up, either liking what you did or hating what you did? Has anybody ever you ever gotten like a surprising response to it?
I can't say I have. I have a vague memory of somebody telling me that, I don't know, I might just be imagining it, but I know that when you directly target CEOs,
Yeah.
they hate it.
Yeah.
They don't want their faces out there. And this is long before Luigi. And I'm not talking about assassinating them, just exposing them. And I know that. So whenever I've made masks of whatever monster has been running Chevron or Exxon or whatever, I'm pretty sure that when they see themselves doing lewd dancing and with being made fun of, that gets to them. But yeah, I wish I had some concrete information. Before I was really hoping to get under Trump's skin because his skin is so thin. See, now with him having us on the prefaces of fascism, how much attention I do want from him directly, but we got to do it.
I think I have one more question,
I'm
Bob.
good.
Yeah. My other only question is, what's the next phase here? What's your next plan? I know that you've been doing the They Live skit at some of the anti-inauguration marches that have been happening here in the Bay Area, but what's the next step?
All right. So I'm going to probably do that skit again tomorrow, and I paid so much money for those 3 by 4 foot lenticular signs. So
They are pretty great, I gotta
Yeah.
say. It looks really good.
So I'm going to redo it, try to get my money's worth out of that. And also what I have been doing, I don't know if you know this, but I had these stickers made that work the same as the signs.
Yeah.
And I put a video up on TikTok and I've been shipping those around the country. People have been buying them, which is helping me make back some of the money that I spent, but also people in Kentucky, in Arizona, in Florida, all over Texas, all over the country, particularly in these red states, are when people, I'm selling them for $2 each, but I'm selling them for $1 each. And sometimes just giving them when people want to get them in mass so that they can sticker in their communities. Because maybe in Kentucky, doing street theater or protesting is a lot more dangerous, but doing decoration is a good thing. So we will figure out what the next skit is. I'm going to also continue on all the stuff I've been doing on Palestine and Gaza. I did make these stickers, these wanted posters.
We put those out at our panel event in Berkeley
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Thank you. And I'm going to do a little TikTok video and send those out through the country as well so people could do it. And what I'm hoping that your viewers and people around the country will contact me through the website. And if they want to do street theater in their community, I can show them how to make masks. I can show them how to make labels or print out the labels and do the Gaza Spring bottles, or work on an idea with them on how to get attention, how to do messaging, and how to have fun doing
Right.
that type of stuff. So my group we'll keep doing this stuff. And I do want to mention in the video that you showed, that Village People rewrite of that
Mhm.
song. Edna is a comedian and a actress, and she did that. You can find her on the socials as Potato Mashed Comedy. I was trying to get Edna to just record me doing voiceovers and stuff and the soundtrack for about 3 weeks before the skit. The only time she had was like 2 hours the day before the skit. I went in there. She said, "Oh, that's all you have? Here, I'll write you a song." And boom, I had to go to my other job, my other gig, and she while I was at work, just cranked out that Village People's song, sang it, and I had it, the whole thing to use the very next morning. So
I noted that song, like Obey, to the tune of YMCA. That was brilliant.
yeah,
And sounded really good, actually.
yeah. So that was like, oh, and the actors, just how everything comes together on the fly. Not everything, because there was a lot of work put into it that I did, but on the fly, Andy and Allison, they show up. I start using face paint and magic marker on their hands. And then they're like, hey, this is the song. What can you do for the little in YMCA? You have the hands, like it out. And they just put that together within 2-3 minutes. And then we'll get out there and do the skit. I actually recommend more preparation, but I'm fortunate to have a great group of people that I'm working with. So I just wanted to give them a little shout out. And you can find Edna on Potato Mash Comedy.
We'll include whatever links you want us to in the show notes too.
Great.
And how can people find you? Websites and social media?
Again, as Scott mentioned before, it's badtastegoodcause.com. And on TikTok, it's at Jeff-Grubler on TikTok. I believe that's what it is. Yeah, that's primarily Instagram. I get one hit on a video, so that's worthless. But yeah, if you do see this and you want to do stuff in your town, wherever you are, contact me and I will try to help you.
And they can contact you through the website.
They can contact me through the website. Yeah. And just think about creative things that you could do. I know that this is the Green and Red podcast, and it should probably be the Green, Red, and Gray podcast. If there are any students there and you've been getting repression, doing Palestine stuff on your campus, get in touch with me. Let's see what we can do. Flash mobs, all sorts of ideas that maybe that you can get past the repression and still get out the word to your community.
Yep. Folks, we've been talking with Jeff Grubler, anti-war, anti-genocide, human rights activist for a long time, friend and comrade of the Green and Red podcast. Jeff and I may have at one point been domestic life partners in previous life. Cause.com is the website. If you like what you're hearing, check us out at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to us on an audio platform, give us a rate and review, as it helps us with the algorithms. And if you really like us, go to greenandredpodcast.org and hit the support button, or become a patron at patreon.com/greenredpodcast. And message out to everybody, make trouble, misbehave, and make sure that you laugh and keep yourself a little bit sane through all of this insanity that's coming at us. And we'll talk to everybody again real soon.
Thank you, guys.
Human, you must listen to me. I said human. Tie your shoes, count to 3, and start marching to the beat of our drum. Look at all the guns we're packing. I've got your best interest at heart to get richer. I can get a head start, just keep working. Give your money to me, you'll stay poor with no autonomy. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. We own everything. You will watch and enjoy the greatest power in lead ploy. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. You'll get no privileges. You will work to the bone. You will serve us, you're not alone. submit. You will submit to me, I said obey. You will do as I please and just consume. Watch your little TV, numb yourself, and you'll be happy. No one succeeds all by themselves, I said human. We put you up on the shelf, so just stay there. You will keep your head down, you will watch us destroy your town. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. We own everything, you will watch and enjoy. The greatest power in lead ploy. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. You chose us, so you will obey, obey. You'll get no privileges, you will work to the bone. You will serve us, you're not alone.
Obey, obey.